Hello, today I'm going to show you how to change the battery in a Moflin. The tools you're going to need are a Phillips head screwdriver with quite a long shaft. You could use something such as a watchmaker screwdriver or a set like this that has something suitable. A pair of pliers. This might not be necessary, but some of the connectors are a bit hard to disconnect. A new battery, a JST 2.0mm pitch with 3 cables and 3 pins. I'll put a link to the one that I bought down below. And finally, most importantly, a Moflin. Okay, let's start. Ideally, you want to work on the Moflin when the battery is dead. This will prevent any damage to the device or the battery. Flip the Moflin over and find the zip. Unzip it. The end of the zip may be inside of the Moflin, so you just have to pull it back a little bit with your fingernail. Be careful of any hair that might get stuck. I'm not doing a very good job here, but it'll go eventually. Just try and make sure there's no hair caught in the zip. Okay, once you have the fur off, it has 3 connection points. One at the top here. You just pop it off like that. It's just a plastic washer that connects over the top of a screw head. You do the same down here. And then finally down here. If the Moflin still has charge, this is the power button here, so you hold it down for a few seconds, the Moflin will make a squeak, and then the power will go off. On your Moflin you will not notice this connector here, or this connector here, but it's just covered by a plastic sticker which I've just stuck above it there. It's not necessary to uncover either side, but the right hand side allows you to see the green LED, just so you know that there is no power to the device. Remove the fur gently until you get to about the neck and head. And then you'll find another 2 connectors for the fur, one here and one on the other side here. They just pop off. And then once you get to the eyes, be careful about the eyes. They are longer poles, so just gently ease them out like this, and then the whole fur will be able to be removed. Be careful when you take the fur off of these 2 poles, because they might get damaged if you are too rough with it. I like to adjust the head into a default position just to make it easier to work with. Flip it upside down. There are 3 screws here, here, and then a 3rd one here. Grab your screwdriver and somewhere to put the screws. They can easily get lost, so just be careful. Now that the screws are removed, be careful of these posts here and just lift it off straight. Those posts hide 2 screws within the body, so just stick your long screwdriver into this hole. Again, a Phillips size 0. The 2 pieces should separate quite easily. When you open it, make sure to have the head facing towards you. This makes things a little bit easier. And you'll see this red and black cable here. Be very gentle and disconnect it. This connects the sensor on the top of the body to the main electronics. When removing the top, be careful of this little light sensor here. It might get damaged if you're too rough with it. On this side, we disconnect this red and black cable. This is the coils for charging the Moflin. And then there are another 4 screws, one here, one here, one in the back here, and then a 4th one here. Slowly unscrew all those. So once all the screws are removed, remove the base gently because the battery is loose in the bottom. I would recommend turning it upside down like this so that it doesn't just fall loose hanging off the cable. Then we trace the cable back to where it's plugged into the board, and this is where you need some pliers or tweezers, just because it can be a little tight and a bit difficult to get into there. Just be careful when you do this that you're not touching any electronic components or damaging the board in any way or the battery. You may notice this battery does not look like your battery. That's okay, this is the replacement battery. You'll also notice that the replacement battery is 1200 milliamp hours. mAh, and the original battery is 1150 milliamp hours. This is okay, as long as the voltage is 3.7 volts and it has the same kind of connector on it. The higher milliamp hour just means that the Moflin will last a little bit longer. Okay, so grab your Moflin and then plug the connector back into the Moflin. You can't really see it very well here on the camera, but on the top of the connector is a little column. Just make sure that it's facing away from the circuit board in the Moflin. Do not worry, it'll only fit in one way, so don't force it. It can just be a bit fiddly plugging it in. Once it's connected, just make sure it's fully seated properly. And you may notice that there's a red light and a green light here, and the Moflin will start to move. If it doesn't, that's not necessarily a bad thing, it might just mean that the battery's dead. But if it is on, then just press this black button here, which is the equivalent of the big white button on the back, until the light goes off. You will notice that the cable is maybe slightly longer than the previous cable. That's okay, just route it as best you can. In this case, I've turned the battery around the other way. Okay, it's time to fit the bottom again. Make sure that the big white button is at the back. And this red and black cable is not pinched between the plastic of the bottom and the little arm that sticks out. At this stage, be very gentle. You don't want to damage the battery by forcing it in, or any of the electronics. Here I'm using the screwdriver just to readjust the position. It had a little bit of trouble just fitting between the 2 points within the base, so I just moved it into position so it fit perfectly. Make sure that the plastic of the base and the plastic of the arm meet up properly. Once everything's seated correctly, screw all 4 of the screws back in again. Once all the screws are back in again, plug this red and black cable back in. Make sure it's seated properly. Okay, and now it's time to put the back on. Make sure that the neck hole is towards the head, and then this is the back of it. Don't forget to plug in the sensors for the back before you place the back on. Just be careful that no cables are pinched in the body when you put them back together. In this situation, the light sensor looked a bit out of position, so I just moved it back. And then you should be able to see it through that little hole there. Just make sure that the sides all meet together again properly. Drop a screw back into the little hole there. And into the other hole, and then just screw them back up until they're finger tight. They don't need to be very, very tight, just make sure that the body's tight enough to keep the two halves together. Now replace the cover from the bottom. There's 2 holes on one side and 1 hole on the other, so just make sure that they line up properly with the body, making sure that the columns go into the body as well. Screw them back together. As before, you can gently move the head out of the way just to get access to the screw holes. Okay, that's the battery replaced. So you can try turning them on. And this is why it's useful to remove the right hand sticker, because you can see the power light there. You can also, at this point, put it into the dock to charge it. I would keep an eye on the battery, just in case you have one that malfunctions. Now that everything looks okay, we're going to turn the Moflin back off again. Again, I prefer to just reset the head position so it's easier to put the fur back on. So you want to check which way round it is. So the white bit's to the bottom, obviously, and then your grey or brown bit is to the top. You flip it over like this. Stick the peg back in the hole. It won't hold there, so then that's why you connect up the little fasteners. Gently move around to the other side. And insert the other eye. Push it down a little bit. And connect the other fastener. Then you want to gently turn the fur right side out again, pulling it a little bit just to straighten it out until it gets all the way to the bottom. You may want to straighten out the head just so it pulls out straighter as well. So that looks good. So connect the fastener back at the top again. And the bottom one. And the other bottom one. Check that it's all secure. And then switch it on. At this stage is when I would replace the stickers if you've removed them, just so no dust gets inside unnecessarily. And then do up the zip. You may just want to put the zip head into the body, just like this, and use a fingernail to push it in, just to remove any sharp bits. There you go. Moflin's battery's all changed and is happy once again. Thank you.